We got some live breaking news for you today, Nez Nation. James Comey, former FBI director, some newly declassified emails imply the very genesis of how this Russia collusion hoax was pushed through the media. This is the biggest scandal in U.S. history. Every single news media outlet was complicit. It was designed and architected at the highest level, the Obamas, the Clintons, the Soros, and it was implemented with pure scientific precision to go after one man, our president, President Trump. It's really kind of a testament to what happened in 2024 that none of us fell for this. None of us bought this. And I really am I'm just proud of that. Also, newly declassified Tulsi Gabbard just released new emails that were unearthed in 2016 implicating James Clapper, demanding that the intelligence community fall in line behind the Russia hoax. I'm going to share that with you. And then we've got a huge, like a huge bombshell of proof. Now we have hard proof that the Democrats, as if we needed this, gave $6 billion to conglomerates of the United Nations agencies and over 200 NGOs to facilitate the largest illegal immigration invasion of America. And then the last story of the day has to do with, we can't forget about our vegetable in chief because we still have no idea who ran the presidency in the last 4 years. It was AutoPen. Who controlled the AutoPen? They all pled the fifth. Remember that? Representative James Comer has just unearthed some new information and unearthed emails that imply that the Biden White House actually scrapped a Joe Biden visit to defense ships. Why? Because of the amount of steps he had to take. This is actually true. I'm going to share it with you all. But first, let's check this out. So this was just recently declassified. James Clapper, who is the former director of national intelligence, these two emails right here are absolutely essential in understanding how this preposterous biggest scandal of all time in U.S. American history got pushed through and was facilitated by these people. So this email is a little bit difficult to read, but I'm going to read it for you. I understand your concern. It is essential that we, the CIA, NSA, FBI, Director of National Intelligence, be on the same page and are all supportive of the report in the highest tradition of, quote, that's our story and we're sticking to it, end quote. My God, you need to arrest them all. They all need to be arrested. This evening, CIA has provided to the intelligence community the complete draft generated by the ad hoc fusion cell. We will facilitate as much mutual transparency as possible as we complete the report, but more time is not negotiable. We may have to compromise. Listen to this. This is the part that Tulsi Gabbard pointed out. We may have to compromise on our, quote, normal, end quote, modalities since we must do this on such a compressed schedule. This is one project that has to be a team sport. Jim, my God, December 22nd, 2016, after the 2016 election. This is just weeks after the 2016 election where President Trump won for the first term. It was all concocted. It was all a plan. It was all strategic. It was all illegal. They need handcuffs, every single one of them. And then here's another one that was sent on December 22nd at 7 a.m. This is from Michael Rogers to James Clapper, John Brennan, and James Comey. So highest intel right here. I've just returned from a TDY overseas and been updated on the current status of our efforts to produce a joint product related to Russian attribution and intent for the DNC DCCC hacks. I know that this activity is on a fast track. My God, I'm shaking right now reading this. I'm so livid. I can't wait to get your thought. Let me know how you feel in the comments. On a fast track, and that folks have been working very hard to put together a product that can be provided to the president. However, I wanted to reach out to you directly so that president at that time was Obama, because Trump did not get inaugurated. So I said Biden earlier, but same thing. It doesn't matter. Essentially, Obama was president up until January 20th of 2017. However, I wanted to reach out to you directly to let you know some of concerns I have with what I'm hearing from my folks. Specifically, I asked my team if they had sufficient access to the underlying intelligence and sufficient time to review that intelligence. On both points, my team raised concerns. They were clear that at the staff level, folks have been forward-leaning and trying to ensure that we have an opportunity to review and weigh in. But I'm concerned that given the expedited nature of this activity, my folks aren't fully comfortable saying that they've had enough time to review all of the intelligence to be absolutely confident in their assessments. To be clear, I am not saying that we disagree substantively, but I do want to make sure that when we are asked in the future whether we can absolutely stand behind the paper, that we don't have any reason to hesitate because of the process, the coordination, the collaboration on a bold-faced, treasonous, this is a coup, my fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens. This is nothing but an unadulterated coup, treason and acts of sedition at the highest level, implicating Hillary, implicating Obama, implicating Comey, Clapper, Brennan, all of Brennan's been going on this CNN tour the last couple of weeks saying, oh, it's all a hoax. He's just trying to distract from the Epstein client list, which again, I just want to ask this question. I know liberals, I know you guys all watch this. I know people from CNN, and I know you guys all watch my show. You had power for 12 of the last 16 years. You definitely had power the 4 years that Biden was in control. Why didn't you, if you care so much about Epstein, why didn't you release the Epstein list then? You did everything else. You tried to debank him, smear him, imprison him, assassinate him. Why didn't you do that? Makes no sense because they have nothing. They're actually using detraction in order to detract us from this absolute historical scandal. I know that you agree, I'm continuing here on the email. I know that you agree that this is something we need to be 100% comfortable with before we present it to the president. We have one chance to get this right. My God. And it is critical that we do so. If the intent is to create an integrated product that is CIA, FBI, NSA, look at all the intelligence communities jointly authored that we can all defend. We need a process that allows us all to be comfortable, and I'm concerned we are not there yet. I apologize for my emotions, but my blood is boiling. In addition, if NSA is intended, if you feel me right now, give me a yeah in the comments right now. In addition, if NSA is intended to be a co-author of this product, I personally expect to see even the most sensitive evidence related to the conclusion. However, if your intent is to create a CIA only or a CIA FBI authored product, then I will stand down on these concerns. I would welcome your thoughts on these points and any adjustments we might make to the process to ensure that we all have the necessary level of confidence in the final assessment. My goodness gracious. This guy right here, what an absolute scoundrel. But wait, it gets worse. James Comey has just been exposed for ordering the FBI to leak classified information to the New York Times during Trump's first term. These are based on newly declassified documents. As Comey now is under an investigation, but I want to share this quick clip to kind of illuminate what exactly was discovered in this newly declassified document. Check this out.
This is a very long piece that you have here.
Yeah.
It is a worthwhile read. I'll let you sum it up, and then I want your conclusion on what you're finding here, because to me it's very damning.
Well, what you find out is that James Comey decided not to work through the FBI press office when he wanted to change the narrative in Washington, burnish his reputation against attacks from Democrats, and try to sully Donald Trump's reputation. If you remember, Democrats were mad that James Comey let out of the bag just before the election that there might be some new evidence in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Hillary blamed Comey for throwing the election. She blamed the Russians for throwing the election. She blamed everybody but herself for throwing the election for her. But Comey was trying to rehabilitate that. And so he had an intermediary, a Columbia law professor by the name of Daniel Richman, who the FBI confirmed and interviewed. And Richman said, yes, I used my relationship with a New York Times reporter named Michael Schmidt. He's one of the authors of the Pulitzer Prize winning package that President Trump is now suing over. And my goal was to improve negative stories about James Comey and to set a narrative, i.e. set the Russia collusion narrative. This guy worked around the official channels of the FBI press office. And at one point, the FBI noted, you met with James Comey. He gave you access to classified information. A short while later, you had a conversation with that New York Times reporter, and he ends up reporting something that appears to be classified. Did you do it? And he gives, I think, perhaps the most famous denial people will remember since Bill Clinton says it depends what the meaning of the word is when he tried to obfuscate whether he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. He says, I can say, I don't think I confirmed the information. I can say with a discount that I didn't give him the classified information. With a discount means you got to give me some room. It's an extraordinary moment. The FBI clearly had strong suspicions that this was a potential backdoor for information, maybe classified information to get out to the media with James Comey's fingerprints on it. And they didn't go much further. They didn't put Comey before the grand jury, that we can tell. They didn't appear to put this gentleman, Daniel Richman, before the grand jury. And like Adam Schiff, as we told you last night, here they have an eyewitness whistleblower who said, I was in the room when he authorized leaks of intel. These end up being a dead end again. And it's another reminder of a dual system of justice that the Justice Department had the last 6 years. These are documents that were never given to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan confirmed that to me today. And we're just learning 8 years later, because of what Kash Patel turned over, that the FBI had all the evidence of how the false narrative of Russia collusion was spread across this country to the detriment of voters, to the detriment of President Trump's first campaign, and they did nothing about it.
It's a credit to the FBI. It's a credit to Kash Patel. It's a credit to the people that are involved in sharing this information now with the public. Do you see legal jeopardy here?
I think if Pam Bondi goes the grand jury route, that these are people that are going to be hauled before the grand jury. I want to remind people, most classified information statutes have a 5-year statute of limitations, but there is a provision that extends it to 10 years if it's willing and knowing. And there is some pretty clear evidence of a strong apparatus put in place to make these leaks occur, according to the FBI documents. I think a grand jury could go back and try to compel testimony and find out if it rises to the level of criminality. Tomorrow, though, I think we're going to take people on a new destination, which is how often did the FBI get blocked in trying to investigate Hillary Clinton corruption at the Clinton Foundation? You're going to be shocked by the answer.
Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, all the theatrics, the histrionics, when they were grilling Tulsi Gabbard, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and everybody, for their appointments, these ridiculous hypocrites. Their hypocrisy knows no bounds. You had Pencil Dick Schiff. Are you going to politicize and weaponize the chastising Kash, chastising Pam? Are you guys going to do what President Trump's bidding? I'm so upset I can barely talk. When they were doing it the entire time, arrest them all. Okay. If you let me loose, I'll just keep going and going and going. But I want this important matters, so much important matters to share with you. So this is absolutely damning. As if this wasn't enough, Comey and Clapper. A congressional hearing titled, quote, "An Inside Job: How NGOs Facilitated the Biden Border Crisis." This is also personal to me because I feel like the $100 million for fire aid for LA fire victims that all went to NGOs. There's a sort of cross-pollinization connection here. So there was a hearing held on July 16th, 2025 as part of an ongoing investigation by the House Committee on Homeland Security into the role of non-government organizations, or NGOs, during the previous administration's border policies. This probe intensified recently when the committee launching inquiries into over 200 NGOs in June of 2025 led to such damning uncovering of unbelievable information. I'm going to share with you this video right here from congressional leader and the executive director of the Oversight Project, Mike Howell. Watch and listen carefully.
I now recognize Mr. Mike Howell for 5 minutes for his opening statement.
Members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify about the role of NGOs or non-governmental organizations in facilitating mass illegal immigration. I currently serve as the executive director of the Oversight Project and previously was at DHS and on Capitol Hill conducting oversight of immigration matters. The United States of America is still reeling from the worst border invasion in its history. This was an invasion that was planned, promoted, encouraged, funded, and sustained by radical elements of the previous administration. But this invasion could not have been accomplished without a colossal partnership with the NGO community. Simply put, the government just did not have the capacity to get this many people in and around the country without the support of the nonprofits. And to that end, they gave them almost $6 billion to a conglomerate of UN agencies and over 200 NGOs to do just that, according to statistics from the Center for Immigration Studies. The result was that Border Patrol became a daycare. They became Uber drivers just to shuttle illegals to the nonprofits to get them around the country. Now, the Oversight Project has led the way in exposing what I call this border industrial complex. In December of 2022, we did the first of its kind study where we tracked illegal aliens by their cell phones as they went through these nonprofits at the border. In just a 1-month period, in tracking 30,000 devices, so a very small subset of the 10 million that Biden had crossed the border, we found out that the illegals went to nearly every single congressional district in the United States. We proved that every town was indeed a border town.
My fellow Americans, this is actual living proof that the whole reason they let in all these millions and millions of illegals was because they wanted to retain power. They didn't care about you. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about any of our fellow American citizens' safety. That's why they're fighting tooth and nail for criminals all over. They're calling ICE agents Nazis. They're flying to El Salvador to save these criminal thugs. They're doing everything in their power to fight because why? How many times have I said it? They're scared to death. They're feckless, gutless, ballsless, soulless, spineless. They don't have an ounce of creativity, an ounce of innovation, an ounce of effort, an ounce of dignity and pride of that comes from hard work and achieving something. They're just scared to death that they're going to have to one day have to actually get a real job. That's what it's all about. The Hippocrats, ladies and gentlemen. And this is proof. This video needs to go viral. I'm begging you. You're not going to see this anywhere on CNN, anywhere on woke propaganda media. Tap that thumbs up. Share this with everybody. Now, this next story has to do with Biden, whose staff, again, more classified information. Representative James Comer unearthed these emails showing that the Biden White House scrapped Joe Biden's visit to defense ships because of the amount of steps he had to take. It gets worse for the vegetable in chief. Watch.
Well, this is more evidence that there was a cover-up to try to conceal to the American public Joe Biden's mental decline and physical decline. Look, we couldn't even trust Joe Biden to walk around a ship that was used to protect the American people, and they tried to get him through for another 4-year term, much less tried to cover up to the American people the current status of the President of the United States. We look at this investigation of the auto pen, Sean, and we see that all the activity that took place with that auto pen, especially over the last 90 days during the lame duck period, once Donald Trump won the election, but before he was sworn in as president. And what's at stake in this investigation is to determine whether or not those executive orders and those pardons that were signed by the auto pen are valid. And I think that with the evidence that continues to emerge, including those emails today that show there was a coordinated effort to conceal how bad a shape Joe Biden was in, I think that's going to not play out well for the future of those executive orders and those pardons in a court of law.
My fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens, this is a battle between good and evil. The hypocrites, the Democrats, everything they've done just for their own self-interest, absorbed in their own self-propelling promotion and ability to retain their seats, retain their positions of power, just denote one thing and one thing only. It's pure evil. It's selfish, narcissistic, sociopathic behavior. President Trump has done more than any other president in my lifetime in his first 6.5, 7 months of holding office. And they are trying to fight him at every turn. And what is he doing? Again, it's a common sense revolution. He's just trying to fix the border, make America safe, fix our economy, reorchestrate and reorientate our global trade geopolitical standing, which he has done in spades. The stock market booming. He's trying to get men out of women's sports and our mothers and daughters and sisters and our wives' locker rooms. It's common sense stuff. None of this stuff is crazy. It is a battle between good and evil. And if you want evil to perish and you want good to win, I need your help. Tap that thumbs up. It doesn't cost you a thing. And please, I can't wait to read your comments on all this stuff. Let me know what you think. But it only takes you a nanosecond. And you can even do it with your remote if you're watching this on TV. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps us out immeasurably. I see you eyeing this one-of-a-kind Nez Nation hat. We are so back. Boy, we didn't just dodge a bullet. We dodged a nuclear missile on November 5th, 2024. If you want one of these, or maybe you want to get it as a gift for something, they make great gifts. Check out our link in the pinned comment and in the description to our new merch shop. You're going to love it. We got everything. We got all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. Don't forget to check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. Our free newsletters also in the pinned comment and description. And as always, may God bless you and God bless the USA and all who defend her. I'll see you soon.